New York Jets, Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan, they would want to have had Brandon Graham from Michigan, but I think the next best guy that reminds me a lot of Brandon Graham, that did a lot consistently over the 4 years he was there, Jerry Hughes from TCU, a guy that can get after the quarterback, play defensive end at TCU, but he can play outside linebacker as well. He's athletic. He can also cover. That's an underrated aspect of it. So you get him with that 3-4 defense, a guy that's nasty, that looks to make tackles. That's going to help out the Jets defense. They couldn't apply pressure quite often a lot last season. So I think a guy like Hughes is going to help those guys out a lot. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback, and that's going to help out the defense tremendously.
New York Jets also lost Thomas Jones.
Right.
They released him, tried to resign him, but he went to the Chiefs.
Well, you look at, they have some depth. You know, they have a lot of wealth. They have Sean Green. They're also going to get Leon Washington back.
Right,
you know,
right.
So that's going to help out a lot. And they can always pick up a guy third, fourth round to, you know, to be that third guy. And there's some backs they could probably get. And if they sign Tomlinson, then you have, you know, essentially another Thomas Jones back there as well, to a security blanket that, you know, can pass pro, that can catch the ball in the backfield, that can run consistently. So if they sign LaDainian Tomlinson, that's going to help out a lot. But if not, then they can draft somebody late.
And they also got Antonio Cromartie in a trade this
That's
year.
going to help out. They
try to add him to Revis Island.
Right.
That guy had a spectacular year.
two physical specimen at cornerback.
Yeah.
Get the pressure up. Scary defense.
People might look out for the Jets this year. They might do something special. Again.
As they doing this, they're going to always, if they could continue to make moves like this, they're going to always be picking at the bottom half of the draft. And that's a good thing.
Okay. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They have the next pick on the clock. Who do they take?
I think they need a cornerback. You look at their cornerback, they got hurt late in that championship game. Griffin, he tore his ACL late in the season. So I think you don't know if he's going to be healthy for the beginning of the season. So I think they go cornerback Patrick Robinson, Florida State, a guy that's physical, nasty, that can make plays closer to the line of scrimmage, kind of like Winfield. You know, but Winfield also is another guy that's been banged up. So I think they have to go cornerback. And I think Robinson is going to be that guy, Patrick Robinson, Florida State, 5'11", 200 pounds, that can make plays.
Also, you know, people don't know if Brett Favre's coming back. So, you know, maybe a quarterback, you know, person that they could bring into the system, them not knowing Brett Favre, maybe back one more year where maybe he can groom the quarterback.
I think they're fine with Tavares Jackson.
Okay.
Honestly, I think if Tavares Jackson would have came into that game against the New Orleans Saints in the championship game, the Saints would have had a serious problem. Because when you got a guy that's mobile, now your pass rush has to be contained by, they have to get pushed instead of pressure. Because those ends fly up the field, then that quarterback step up and it's gone. So that's an added, when you have a mobile quarterback, now it's 11 on 11. Wow. And that's tough.
Wow. Tavares Jackson coming
He's
from
not
Brett
bad.
Favre. You heard it from the zone.
He doesn't throw interceptions. Woo. He doesn't throw interceptions. Anytime you have a mobile quarterback, you're never in a bad play.
That's right. That may be true. Okay, now we have the 31st pick, the Indianapolis Colts. Where do they go?
They have to go defensive line. So I look at, they get a guy that's quick and mobile. Brian Price out of UCLA, a guy that can make plays, a good 3 technique. So you get a guy like that up the middle to go along with that pass rush that they have. I don't know who's that guy name out there on the end, number 98. Some guy they got. But you get pressure up the middle. That's going to leave one-on-one opportunities for him, Freeney. That's going to get that pressure going. That defense is going to provide constant pressure throughout the season. I do think they go defensive tackle. Brian Price is a tremendous player.
That was one of the teams also, you know, sit their players at the end of the season. You know, I understand Caldwell, you know, he wanted to play for the big championship, but maybe that could have hurt him in the season too by sitting him.
I think it's 6 one way, a half dozen another. I think it all depends on how you look at it.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, they have to get better on offensive, defensive line.
Okay.
And I think they take the chance on it, since all the top offensive linemen are gone. They go defensive line and get Brian Price.
Brian Price. Now we have the New Orleans Saints, the Super Bowl champions.
Never thought I'd hear you say that. You know.
You're right.
But I think the Saints with the 32nd pick, they have to get strong defensively, keep applying those talent on defense. So they have to go D-tackle. You look at a guy like Dan Williams from Tennessee, a guy that's a physical freak, nasty guy that can get on that interior with Cedric Ellis. That's going to help out that defensive line, because that's going to leave a lot of one-on-one opportunities with Will Smith and whomever they bring in as a defensive end, whether they draft the guy or they bring a guy in free agency. So get Dan Williams. That way teams were able to run the football on the Saints. Once Cedric Ellis got hurt, they really have any depth. So now you get those two young guys that they can grow together in that defense. That's going to be a lot of pressure. Then they'll help the rest of the parts of the defense look better. You look at your linebackers, you look at your safeties or your corners. It all starts up front. Dan Williams is going to be a huge pickup for the Saints.
So maybe, you know, get a little help at the outside linebacker position, or maybe to replace Scott Fajita or
Shannon Lee. You look at those guys. The Saints ideally would probably want Sean Witherspoon or Jerry Hughes or Ricky Sapp. All three of those guys would be perfect for that pressure defense that Greg Williams wants to run. But they have to get, since all those guys are going in this mock draft, they have to get that defensive line straight. And you look in the second round, maybe a guy like Darryl Washington, that can get out there and rush the passer. So that's something from TCU. So that's something you want to look at. Maybe in the second round they could probably get that outside linebacker help. But right now, while you're at that spot, the 32nd spot, you have the defensive tackle. That's a pretty good player. Get him right now.
Let's not forget they did not resign Darren Shaw, right, which was really surprising.
I think they're going to resign him. They're not going to overpay for a guy that's 34 years old. They're going to let him find his price, and then after he finds his price, then the Saints are going to match.
Okay, so you think
I think
he is going to come back?
I think they're going to bring it back.
Okay. Well, that's all, folks. Thank you for checking out our 2010 NFL mock draft.
And that was version 3. So check out version 4 in a couple of weeks. But in the interim, if you want to check out more of our videos, all season outlooks, predictions, analysis, visit youtube.com/footballgameplan or our website at www.footballgameplan.com.